Okay, so now we switch places,
Yeah.
and you get to ask me any questions you want.
Yeah, that's
Like,
great.
it can be about anything.
Yeah.
Product, the company,
Yeah.
anything you want.
No, I would love to hear sort of at first just the initial, like what got you started on building a headless CMS, and what was sort of the revelation behind, like, oh, things are going to be headless in...
Right. So the story came when we were like, so we're developing this framework, Play framework, was for Java. It's a web framework.
Yeah, I know it well.
And then it's on top of Scala, right? And we were talking to TypeSafe back then. The name was, now it's called Lightbend, I guess. They changed the name.
Yeah.
And TypeSafe was interested in Play framework, and they wanted to acquire it. Yeah. And we were in these kind of discussions, and Donald Fisher was the VC, and he told, like, hey, we should do a website. Can you guys help us doing a website for TypeSafe? And I thought, like, yeah, sure. Yeah. And I went to do it, and I was like, oh, like, I'm not going to do WordPress or something here. So I was looking for a CMS that was an API. It was the moment where you start realizing that everything should go API.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, they should be a service. It's a simple idea. Everyone has this idea. CMS as an API. Don't give me front end.
Yeah.
And there were none. There were one. Osmic, it used to be called.
Yeah, I remember.
But it disappeared completely. And these guys, like, they were the first ones to talk about this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the interface was quite nice, but the service wasn't there. It was like always down. I had a lot of hard time keeping the website up.
Yeah.
I had to do some kind of smart cache where I don't exactly fetch from them if they're not online. I keep some caching around, so I had to do all this kind of thing. And I thought, like, I should go that path. We should. So they acquired Play framework, and like we completely got into that headless CMS thing. And we started thinking, like, what do we want it to look like?
Yeah.
And back in the beginning, we said, like, okay, API, we need to have like a pretty UX for editors. And then we thought, like, oh, branches aren't interested in Git. So why not do something similar? And we did something we call releases back then. So that we have that kind of something like branches where you have different content branches, you work together. And then, we spend a lot of time trying to think, how can we make this scalable and available, because I had the problem with Osmic, and I don't want our clients to have it. So a lot of thought was gone into how can we make serving the API extremely scalable and just simple. This is what we talked about in the other video. We made it files, just simple files. You download them and you start hosting them. There's nothing to care about. So that's how we got into that idea. But things changed, like in the 5 years, so priorities, we changed priorities, with the market change. So
and it must have been like great to see, like, going from a starting point where I'm sure you had to evangelize a lot to a point where now people are very actively looking for headless CMS, right?
It's really great to see that. Like in the beginning, we had like people saying, why API based, and we had to give them material and arguments why it's better, and the whole thing was like, okay, how can I do in my project and all? And today people come to us like, we really like Prismic and we want to buy, and like, okay, why not? So it becomes, the whole process becomes much easier, like even to sell, or a lot of developers test, and as we told, we give like a generous plan for developers, because they help us a lot. They give us feedback. They help us improve things. So it's a huge change for us. Of course.
What do you think by now is like your biggest differentiator in the space of headless CMSs?
Very good question. Now, and since you're having a headless CMS every now and then, right? Every month maybe it's a new headless CMS. So first, I tell you what our users tell us often. They talk a lot about the fact that we have a good user experience. And that, I think, should not be taken lightly, because in a headless CMS, something you do for developers, you can easily end up with your CMS look like an interface for a database, which is too much scattered, too much broken into too many components. You get an editor in front of it, he's lost. So it was a huge challenge for us. How can we minimize the interface, remove buttons, give personalization and customization, but without turning the whole interface into something blinking, And it's very, very hard. Now this is when you understand, like, interfaces that are simple are extremely hard to produce, you know. So that was a lot of things, something that really worked a lot on, and we keep working on it because, you know, you should not get into satisfaction. So that's one of the things that they talk a lot about. And there's slices. So basically we have this kind of concept. We call it content slices. They correspond to components. So basically, if you have a page, you can break it into sections, like different sections of the website. They look like sections, right? And each section will be a slice in the model. So basically, when you deliver that to your editors, they will be able to kind of compose their pages. It's a headless CMS still, but still you can say, okay, I'm putting this section, that section, and you build your website this way. And if you're using React or Vue, it's nice because it maps directly to these components. So that's one of the things that people like. And then releases the branches, the content branches. People do. But I think that it's now that we have a lot of headless CMSs, we should go like see what is the next step. Like what should we? You know, that's the next thing that we need to be solving, right? And we keep thinking about it like the same way you think about it. The platform, what should we be solving? Next problems that we should be solving. And I think there are a lot of problems. I guess the CMS world was not very ambitious in the last years because it had this kind of the fact that things were not separated. It kind of stops it from going into any direction. I guess now it liberates the space, and all the advances of platforms like yours, like you know, serverless, all these kind of things. There is a horizon, I guess, of improvement. So we keep looking into like, okay, what is the next thing? What should the topic be? Now it's not headless anymore. That's done. That's solved. So yeah, that's the hard thing. Probably bringing them back. You know, you need to some way to marry them because they're too far apart. You know, that separation makes a lot of trouble for content writers and publishers because you know they don't understand our model, and you need to kind of bridge them in some way. So these kind of things. So for instance, we worked on an edit button. It appears on your website. And by one click, you can get to the document that you need to modify for that. That's bridging back the things.
That's the kind of things that becomes really important also from my experience with content editors.
Because you say like, I want to edit this page, but it's scattered in 10 documents. What should I be doing here? And bridging back the experience, I guess, is one of the things that we should focus on. Any other questions?
What do you think is the next big thing for the whole, like for the headless CMS space as such?
The headless CMS base, you're saying?
It's space, like the general sort of space of headless CMSs. Do you think that like there's a direction it will, like all these new ones are popping up and so on? But
I don't know. I mean, who were we talking to? Someone in the studio here we were talking to, and he said maybe we're getting back to non-headless at some point. I don't know. Like, no, but there are a lot of things to be explored. We have our plans. Some of them I can't even talk about.
I imagine.
But you know, I gave enough hints in what we said about what we're talking. But there is a project we're working on, and we maybe will release it in 3-4 months. I guess we'll talk off camera about it. But there are a lot of things that we are preparing, and I would think like there's, as I told you, a lot of things to be solved. And we have a very clear vision of where we're going. So it's exciting. It's exciting because in the beginning we had this kind of, you have this fear, like you're sure of your idea, but you know, will people understand it? Is it the right moment? Now it's much better as a space.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for the question.
Thank you.